Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Snack and Chat with me, your dish diva, Erin Taylor. And coming to you from the Black Women's Health Imperative is our lifestyle coach, Tiffany Phillips. How you doing, Tiffany?
I'm doing well, Erin. How are you?
I'm doing good as always. It's always fun
Yeah.
coming on and snacking and chatting with you.
Yes, I know two of my favorite things,
Yeah.
hanging with my friends and eating.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Any day, all day,
All
right? Right.
day.
So of course we always want to make sure we're snacking on something that's not gonna, really throw us
Yeah.
off of our health goals and making sure
hmm
that we're, giving our bodies the nutrients it needs. So
Yes.
today we are, we're going into June now. So coming up is a very important holiday for us. It's Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So for our snack and chat today, we just decided to focus on those red foods.
Mhm.
And so we'll get into a little bit more about what the meaning of Juneteenth is as we go along, but I want to just go ahead and ask you, Tiffany, what did you bring?
Oh my goodness. So, like you mentioned those red foods, right?
Mhm.
And I was thinking about red velvet cake. Red velvet cake is one of my favorite cakes. And I have to say, mine is not so red velvet. I did a spin on it as you pop a red food in. But I did a little spin on it because you hear so much about red food coloring being bad for you or whatever. I mean, the little bit that I put in there, it probably would be noise. But I was like, I just won't add it. So I didn't add the red food coloring to it. But I just did, like you mentioned in the beginning, we want to make sure that we are eating. I know my cup says sipping, but it's snacking on self-care today.
Love it.
So this helps me and it'll help you too to stay on track. So it's just a single serving mug cake. And that's my little icing I put on there. But when you dig into it, right, you have your cake and to me it's more chocolate instead of red. It has a little tint to it from the vinegar and the milk that you put in and kind of get a little tint, but it's really it looks more chocolate to me than red. But anyway, as I was saying, it's a single serving. It's like you
Yeah.
make this big cake, right? And it sits on your counter. And what does it do? It calls your name. You end up getting slice after slice. You were like, oh, I'm just gonna get a little sliver. And so you cut a tiny little piece, and then you cut another little tiny little piece, and those little pieces just add up. Where if you do a little mug cake, you pop it in the microwave, 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and you have a single serving. When it's gone, it's gone. Or you can
Yeah.
choose to spend. I mean, you can always make another one. But I just thought, and we always need something sweet, and where we are right now, it's like 3:20 where I am in Alabama. And so it's like a lot of people call this witching hour is that time
Yes.
after in between, lunch and dinner. And so you're always snacking or looking for something sweet. So this will also help with that. You just have a single serving, something that's healthy. And oh, for the icing, I did like instead of using like icing or because I'm always trying to healthify something. I just used Greek yogurt. I did some
Oh,
Greek yogurt, add a little stevia to it and some vanilla paste. I like the vanilla paste to me. I think the flavor is stronger with the Madagascar in it, and then you get those little specks of vanilla in there.
mhm.
So I really like that. So I put that yogurt, and that's my icing that's on top. So I
Oh,
get
I
a
love
little
that.
protein, trying to add a little protein, a little
Yeah.
health something into it too.
Oh,
Always
yeah, yeah.
thinking about how can I switch this up to healthify it a bit. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That sounds
Mm,
amazing too.
that's good.
And just having that one little serving is so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one little serving. Oh.
So important.
Well, I may have to try that one day because
Yeah.
I'm just and I always think about that, like even like with cookies, like okay, can I just make one
One
cookie?
cookie. I know. And
Then if
some
it's
people,
sitting in
and
there, I was like, I can't do it. I can't just eat one cookie.
I know, and some people would say, well, that just defeats the purpose. But with those of us trying to make lifestyle changes, it
Mm.
helps,
Yeah.
So it's like it's one of those, um, you're just trying to portion control where you don't have to
Mhm.
use so much willpower. If it's
Mhm.
sitting in there on the counter, you have to use more willpower than you if it's gone,
Mm.
right? Or if it's not just not in the house. So if I make one and eat it, that just cuts down on one less decision I have to make. So,
Right. I love it. Well, and like we talk about in our diabetes prevention program, it is important to, look at your portions, look at adding in without taking things away. You still get that cake, but then you're adding in a little of that healthiness with the just trying to make sure that, you're getting as many nutrients as you can for everybody. And I think that's always
right.
the key, is how
Mm-hmm.
many
Mm-hmm.
nutrients can I get in this one little bite of food? Even if it's something sweet and it's a sweet treat, how can I get some more nutrients in here? So that's the way I always
Right.
try to teach
Exactly.
people to think. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I
So
love
what
that.
did you bring, Erin?
So, with a lot of the Juneteenth celebrations, they do red food, and one of the things that kept standing out was like a red punch.
Mm,
And, some of the recipes I was coming across are just, a lot of pops and sodas and,
mm,
just some other things that go in there that make some be somewhat healthy, but not so healthy. But I came across one that really just incorporates a lot of red fruits.
mm,
And
mm-hmm.
so it is a hibiscus tea. So, that's nice red color
Yes.
when you brew a hibiscus tea. And then I added in some watermelon, some cherries, some frozen cherries, some
Mm.
mixed berries, and some ginger, of course. It only
Oh.
called for a little bit, but I added in a lot more. Um, you know how I do.
Yes.
I also added in some mint to, give it a
Mm.
little like refreshing taste there, and just blend it up in the blender. And you can see
Mm.
here, it's like this really deep, rich color. Now, the recipe also suggested, as an optional add-in with some beets. I decided to
Mm-hmm.
not go for the beets. For one, I didn't have any, but others just kind of like, I think I want to just try it with just the fruit in there. And then I
Mm-hmm.
added in a little bit of monk fruit sweetener, which is
Okay.
my go-to, kind of low calorie, 0 calorie sweetener.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't affect the blood sugar as much. And it's pretty good. I mean, you just blend it all up together and then I strained it so that, some of
Okay.
those seeds and the fleshy parts come out. And so I wanted to keep it in that so you could see how deeply red it was.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm going to do is add in, how I like a little fizz. So I've got a little sparkling
Mm.
water here, and it's like a watermelon mint, so it kind of goes right into it.
Mm.
And so I'm going to pour a little bit of that in there. And again, for me, like, when we think about juice, we always talk about how, you'd rather eat the whole fruit instead of the juice.
Right.
But in this case, when you're looking to do something that is a juice or a punch of some sort, I like to add a little sparkle to it, a little fizz
Mm.
to it, and that
Right.
helps water it down, and then I don't drink as much of it. But
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the fizz though. So I'm gonna pour. Sorry, I know this. There we go. We'll pour a little bit of that in there.
It looks so good. Like
Yeah.
it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I love the deep color, the deep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm. Yeah. And that's very refreshing. So, if you're having a cookout or something of that nature, you've got a punch now that's not full of sugar. It is,
Mm-hmm.
it's got the natural occurring sugar, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's a little better go-to than having like a pop that has a whole bunch of just added sugar with no nutrients.
Right.
And then, like I said, I just kind of cut it with a little bit of sparkling water, so I'm not drinking as much. And if you want to do that for a punch that you're serving, at a cookout, add in the sparkling stuff at the last minute right before serving so it doesn't go flat. And then you could add in some fruit to it as well, like some whole fruit in there just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
jazz it up a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're always looking, and everything in there, like the hibiscus is a little bit bitter. Oh, I put lime juice in there as well, so there's a little bit of bitterness from that as
Also,
well. So when you're looking at a sweetener, like sometimes when the stuff is already sweet, I'm not a big fan of stevia because of the taste. But when I have
mm,
something that's bitter, that's already bitter, the
right.
stevia actually works really well with it. So in
Mm.
this case, like the stevia might be really good with that.
And I
But
was thinking as you were like even your ice cream cubes could be like frozen cherries or something, like
yeah,
some type of
oh yeah,
frozen fruit. Hmm.
I like that.
I
But
like that.
I'm
That's
always looking
good.
at some way of like getting hydrated too, because you eat all of this. When you're at those cookouts, I mean, you just imagine how much sodium you're taking in and the salt, whether it's in the meats or,
Yes.
in the macaroni and cheese or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever else somebody's bringing there. And like just kind of having something that's going to help just balance that and help keep you hydrated so that you're not getting dehydrated from all that food,
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
you
that's
know?
the thing too, sometimes you don't want just water. You want
Yeah.
something fun, with a little
Uh,
sparkle when you're eating a good meal. So that helps too.
mhm. Yeah, you could serve
Mm-hmm.
these in your little red cups and act like you just
Mm-hmm.
drinking something. You got a little fancy drink going on. Yeah,
Right.
it's really good. And you can sweeten it with honey. I mean, you could do any of that kind of stuff. Even a cucumber in there would be nice to just
Oh,
kind of give
yeah.
it that, cucumbers are
Mm-hmm.
always great for summertime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but the watermelon is in there, so that's really hydrating as well. But it's all water based, so I love it. And you
Mm-hmm.
got your red punch.
Right. And I could see that pouring that into like popsicle molds or something and making,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mm, that would be really good.
Yeah, that
And so
stuff.
we've talked a lot about red foods. Um, so I guess you're probably wondering like, what is the significance of red foods? So do you want to share a little bit about the significance of the red foods for Juneteenth?
Yeah, so the red foods signify like the resilience, the sacrifice, the bloodshed from the enslaved people, right?
Mm-hmm.
The African Americans who were enslaved here in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And the significance of Juneteenth is, 2 years after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, the enslaved people in Texas still were
In
not
slavery.
free.
Enslaved, yes.
So two
Mm-hmm.
years later, there was a general that came down and just announced to them that they were free. And it took it 2 years because the Union soldiers couldn't, dictate what was happening in the Confederacy. So once, the Civil War was over and, that meant now everyone was free,
Right.
not
Right.
just the people that were in the northern states, now the southern states, all free. But Texas, particular, 2 years after they were supposed to be free, they finally were free.
Right.
So basically, what ended up happening was on this date, June 19th, was when every year um, the former slaves were celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
And the celebration became, about them being free, and then it just always incorporated all of these red foods. And so you've got some of the more traditional ones, like some of the red meats, like the barbecue, you had red punch, you had, the red velvet cakes. And I think just as time has gone on, some of those things have evolved because obviously we can do just about anything with red food, right?
Yes. Right. Right. Right.
I mean, there's so many to choose from. And I will say that, and I did a cooking demonstration a couple years ago around Juneteenth. And one of the things I learned in my research was with watermelon, which is what I'm snacking on here. Um, that was a cash crop for the free, the people who were no longer enslaved, right? And they were actually making money. Now they were able to farms and make a living out of. What ended up happening was the white people there got, a little, they got into their feelings somehow. and
Hmm.
decided that they were going to just make this propaganda about about these Black folks who love watermelon and fried chicken. Now, meanwhile, everybody was eating
Mm.
watermelon and fried chicken. Everyone, Black, white, doesn't matter. But
Right.
they had to do something to, belittle the African
Hmm.
Americans who were actually like thriving off of, selling these kind of things. And so now, that's why the stereotypical thing comes up around Black people. Black people love fried chicken and watermelon.
Right.
And it was just because they actually put it in like the newspaper, and they would have these, really exaggerated features of Black folks and making them look simple, and and they just all over the country just were spreading that all over the country to just make these African American people just feel smaller, or
Mhm.
everybody perceived them as being less than.
Right.
So unfortunately, that idea still kind of is around today. Oh, Black people love fried chicken and watermelon. Well, guess what? Everybody loves fried chicken and watermelon.
Watermelon.
It's not just us. So it's pretty, it's a shame that that's the way it had to be. But
Right.
I mean, I love watermelon. But you think about how wonderful it is for when it's hot outside and how
Mhm.
refreshing it is, and it's sweet and juicy, and it has all the water content. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it, it's not just that likes it. Other
Right.
cultures, for some reason, it was just the Black folks that were, simple and like fried chicken. But anyhow, I digress. I will get off my soapbox. But yes, I mean that's kind of like the whole thing around red foods, around Juneteenth, that stereotypical red stuff. And of course, watermelon is wonderful. I love it.
It
And
is.
it's another red food. You can just serve it. I've got my little like triangle here that I've been nibbling on. You can serve it,
Mm.
as is like that. You can make a salad out of it. I actually am dipping it in a little bit of tahini.
Ah.
So tahine, Tajin, was like trending big time, especially during COVID.
Hmm.
And everybody was like, "Oh, I made this with tahini. I made this," and it's good. It's good. It's
Hmm.
kind of like a chili powder. It's got chili powder, lime, salt on it. And so typically, sometimes we eat watermelon with a little salt because that little sweet and
Right.
savory part,
Hmm.
right? Well, me and my husband we would get this tahine like years before it became popular. We would get the tahine,
Mm.
and anytime we had watermelon, we're like, okay, go get the watermelon seasoning. We couldn't even remember the name of it. Go get that
Oh,
watermelon seasoning.
wow.
And then when it became popular, we were like, wait, that's our watermelon seasoning.
Like we've been eating that for years.
Like, why? Now it's like such a big deal. But yes, it's
Oh,
so good. It's like, because like I said, it's got chili powder, a little bit of lime, like dried lime in there, and some salt, and it's really good on the watermelon.
mm.
So if you haven't tried it,
So, Aaron, what is the trick while we're snacking and chatting to picking out a watermelon? I'm still not good at that. It's just like, how do we find a sweet watermelon?
well, it's funny because I was in Costco, I was getting one, and somebody was like, "How do we pick it?" So there's a couple different things, and it may be worth it just to do a little Google search to just see some pictures for referencing. But
Mm,
one thing that you want to do is make sure that the weight, like even if it's a small watermelon, it should feel heavy. That means it
mm,
has a little bit more of that water content in there. The other things that you look for is like, those lines that happen out here,
mm-hmm,
those lighter lines. You want them to shape perfectly straight, like they've been stretched out and extended a little bit. Another part is looking at the skin. If you want it to have where it's sat on the ground, it should be a little yellow on
mm,
there. And because that means that, it was growing, it had some heaviness to it,
mm,
it's getting a little sweeter, it's been there for a while, right?
right.
And then the other part of the skin that you look for is, I don't think I have any on this piece here. There are these, what they call like sugar lines. So it's almost
Mm.
like where the skin stretched, and it almost looks like a scar on there. But the more it has, the better it's supposed to be.
Oh,
So you
really?
want to like look for the ones that have a little bit more of that, because it's like, so they call it the sugar something, and it really signifies like where it was growing well, and like there's enough sugar, there's like sugar content is in there, because
Hmm.
it's the worst to get a watermelon and it's like
I know.
bitter, and it's awful, and like you're just like, can I take this back?
I
Well, I think
know.
Costco probably would take it back, but I don't know about any other
I'm
store.
sure, yes, they take anything back, but it's like me, like lugging it back in there. It's like, do I take this in a bag? So it's just like one of those
Yeah.
things you end up just chalking up and like, oh well, I'll try again
Yeah.
next time.
And then, if it's a bitter one, maybe freeze it and just throw it in your smoothies or something like
Yeah.
that, or make a
Hmm.
drink like this. Then
Right.
have
And
it be
add
super
some,
sweet for that drink. Yeah.
right. Hmm. And add some flavor and some sugar, something,
Mhm.
some agave or
Yeah.
honey or something to sweeten it up. Hmm.
You could do like the watermelon fresca. I mean, it's pretty much just watermelon water. Like you mix water and watermelon, maybe a little bit of sugar or honey or something, and then it
Hmm.
becomes just a refreshing drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And watermelon is so expensive here. So it's always a treat when I get it. And it
Mm.
costs here in Hawaii, it costs at Costco like $13. And so for the first couple years we lived here, we were we were like, I can't do it. And then finally, like, I want watermelon.
Right.
I've been
Wow.
buying them. We make sure we eat it all. If it goes to waste, I'm like upset. But yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it now. I think initially I was like, I can't that much, but I miss it. Mm. Mm.
Right. It's times like that when
So
you
what other
really
kind of
scrape
red food
down.
would you enjoy?
What other
Hmm.
kind of red foods? That's a good question. It probably, like you mentioned, like fruits. Like, there are so many red fruits with strawberries and raspberries, beets, you know. Because one of the things because I was looking for like a
Hmm. Hmm.
natural red something for the red velvet cake, and they told me to like Google was like use beet powder, beetroot powder. And I was like, well, I didn't know if that was going to change the taste of it too much because beets can be very earthy. But that's another,
Yeah. Yeah.
red food. And I saw too when I was
Yeah,
reading
because
just about Juneteenth how they would do those. Go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead. Go ahead.
And I was saying when just listening to reading about Juneteenth and how they would eat those red hot link sausages.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was like, I have not
Yeah.
seen one of those in years.
They
So
have them
yeah,
here. They have a lot of red sausages here.
really.
But they're mainly, pork, so we don't eat pork.
Pork,
And
yeah.
so,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, those
Mm-hmm.
bright red. But I'm like, why is it red? What
Right.
is putting in it to make it that red?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's how it used to be for the longest with like prime rib. I'm like, why does it have to be red? And they're just like, that's the way it is. Or corned beef. Like when you get those
Mhm.
corned beef sandwiches, and it's just like, "Ugh, I can't get past the red." But it's like, it's been seasoned, it's done. I'm like, okay. But yeah.
Hmm.
That's another red, foods. And like they were saying, barbecue, I guess that was like red meat too. Uh,
Hmm.
and I guess it does look that way, even with chicken, if you barbecue and you put barbecue sauce on it or whatever. So,
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many options out there. And I mean, you don't have to have the red food to celebrate Juneteenth. You can still have all
Right.
the other stuff too, but
Hmm.
having those red options in is kind of nice. You just bring some watermelon or to have a punch, and then everything else,
Right.
you do it, and you can do it the way you want to do it in a healthy way if that's necessary.
Right.
But well, I always say, if you're worried about what you're going to eat at the cookout, you got to bring in the healthy stuff.
Yeah.
You are responsible for bringing in the healthy stuff.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. If you want to stay on track
Mhm.
through all these cookout seasons, summer season,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So use these snacking chats as a way, because we talked a little bit about that on the last one, like
Mhm.
with salads, not your typical green salad. So use some of those things. So when you're going to the cookout, at least you know there'll be one thing there that's healthy.
That's going to work for you.
You're right. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yes.
Well, and it's funny because Memorial Weekend, on Memorial Day, we went to a friend's house and they were having some people over and they're like, just bring a dish. So, I was like, oh, I should probably didn't bring a salad and, but, my salads sometimes just the way people eat, I was just like, so let me not waste my salad on.
Right.
And not that, I was like, but I wanted to bring something that was a little bit healthier. So I ended up making the baked beans.
Okay.
But I have a recipe where I make my own sauce
Oh,
for them. It's
okay.
almost like their own barbecue sauce, and it's just like tomato paste, some dates to sweeten it up, a little bit of mustard, like
Oh.
a little bit of soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce. You put that in there, and you bake the beans in that. And but I use navy beans,
Ah.
black beans, and chickpeas.
Really? Now, Erin, I have
Mhm.
not seen anything like that's interesting.
And I actually add in some pineapple to it. It's pineapple or apple, but I've kind of like, I'm in Hawaii. I added pineapple
Pineapple. Hmm.
into it to just help sweeten it up as well. And I mean, it just, and you add in like some onions and some bell peppers into it, and you use like smoked paprika to give it a little smokiness. I had a little
Mm.
bit of smoked sea salt, added that into it as well. So you still feel like you're getting like this like really smoky barbecuey
Mm.
uh baked beans, but they're definitely lower in sugar, have a ton more
Hmm.
fiber and a ton more protein than your basic like pinto beans or whatever gets used, and a whole bunch of brown sugar and all of that stuff
Right,
with it.
right, right, right. How
Mhm.
did it go over well at the
Um, People
cookout?
ate it, but they didn't go back for a second.
Okay.
But I knew, when I do stuff
Yeah.
like that, I always know because, and then somebody else brought regular baked beans.
Mm, mm-hmm,
So if that's what you're used to, you're kind of like, I'm gonna go to these. But yeah, I mean, so I ended up bringing most of it back home, and I like killed it. The rest of the week, I like had it with everything I was eating. I was like, oh, I got those baked beans.
I know,
So,
seriously.
And those chickpeas are like so full of protein. And you
Yes.
get all that fiber from them. And like just the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing this without all that brown sugar, and again, getting more nutrients per bite. You're still getting
Yeah.
that same like sweetness. You're still getting,
Mm-hmm.
that texture of the beans in there. It is a slightly different taste. I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you that, but I prefer it.
Yes. And
Hmm.
you know what, Erin? I think once you start to eat that way, it's like you retrain or train your taste buds too, because then you start to crave those things. Like
Hmm.
I crave fiber. Like I crave, it's just like, oh, what can give me, what can give me some fiber? Where can I get my protein? Before I
Yeah.
be the person show up, I'm like, oh, just give me a bag of chips or just give me a hot dog or just now it's just like, I really don't want that. Like you don't want it.
Yeah.
Those things that used to be like so good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one thing I've noticed too, just as I've gotten older and I've gotten more in tune with my body and, some of the changes that are happening being in perimenopause, like my reaction to food is a lot greater. So
Mhm.
I will eat something, and if I don't have that balance of that fiber and the protein,
Mhm.
then I'm already like, especially if it's too much carbs and refined carbs, I'm like
Mhm.
immediately tired and I like
Mhm.
want to lay down and take a nap. So it's like in order for me to have the energy, I need to make sure I have that protein. I need to make sure I have, that fiber, if there's a healthy fat. So I'm always looking at, okay, where am I getting each of these from?
Mm-hmm.
And making
Mm-hmm.
sure my plate is a little bit more balanced because the worst thing is for me to be at a cookout and then you're just like, I'm tired. I don't
I
want to
know.
play. I don't want to talk. Like,
I
that's
mean, you're
not the mood.
already and right, and you're already like out in the sun. That's gonna drain you too. So,
Yeah.
you just feel heavy and just like tired, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Is not the vibe.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, I mean, just with any of these things too, even like with the drinking something like this, I would definitely make sure I'm eating something with it.
Yeah.
If I'm drinking
Hmm.
this juice, because again, it's not refined sugar, but it is sugar. And so my body is going to process it as a sugar.
Sugar,
So I
right.
need to make sure that I have something else that I'm eating with it. So this
Hmm.
is great to go with my meal.
Hmm.
This would not be something I would just be sipping on just randomly, by
Hmm.
itself. If I'm thirsty, I'm going to drink water. Or drink the sparkling water. You know what I mean? Like, so it
Right.
just I am like so much more aware of how I'm eating and when I'm
Hmm.
eating it and how I'm eating it with other things. And I
Hmm.
think once you start getting more in tune with your body, and when people are tracking their food, I always tell them too, like, make sure you track how you feel. Like maybe
That's good.
before, because it gives you some information about maybe why you're eating that stuff, and after, because then it gives you information about how your body is responding to it.
Hmm.
And then once you get
Hmm.
more in tune with that, you can kind of look at things like, I'm not going to go with that. But if I do go with that, let me get this to go with it.
Right,
Let me eat
right.
a handful of almonds to go with it so that like
Hmm.
there's something else in my system. So yeah,
Yes,
it's a process. It's a
yes.
process.
And I think that's one of the huge or one of the great benefits of the Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life program is that food tracking, and
Hmm.
it's not necessarily, to me, more than anything, it helps bring awareness, that awareness you talked about. Because sometimes we're so used to just being on autopilot and just eating things that are there, just eating things that we've always eaten without paying attention to one, the nutrition in it, and two, how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And so then you get that awareness and you're just like, oh my goodness. It's like enlightening. That moment was enlightening for you. It's like, oh, now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest part. It's not so much like, okay, let's track your calories. And let me tell you, I was like kicking and screaming, I am not checking my food. It just,
Yeah.
I just hated seeing people just growing up, like
Yeah.
growing up and seeing people, especially back in the 80s. And everyone was like low fat and like, we're doing Weight Watchers and I got
Yeah.
to count this. And I'm like, oh, that is awful. What an awful way
Yeah.
to live your life. But
Right.
now I was kicking and screaming, literally. But, I think now the trackers are so much easier, like,
Hmm.
because you can even, I have the Lose It app, and you can even take a picture of your food, it will
Yeah.
analyze it. You know what I mean? And you can kind of tweak it if you say, oh, no, I didn't have a tablespoon of that. I only had a teaspoon of the dressing. Um, but it will analyze it for you, and or you could just say it and it'll come up with some
Yeah.
ideas. And like so it makes it so much easier. And when I started tracking using that, I started to realize that my breakfasts were so small. I was having so few calories in the morning. And
Hmm.
then when I would eat lunch, then after lunch, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want some more food. I want some more.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
okay, so something's happening here where I need to have a little bit more during breakfast. And then
Hmm.
I need to be aware when I'm starting to get
Hmm.
hungry so that I eat
Hmm.
lunch and I don't wait until I'm starving. So you
Yeah.
really do notice a lot of different patterns just from looking
Yes.
at that, right?
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. And a lot of times, we think that we just need more willpower or more discipline, when in fact, it could be like you stated, you're just not eating enough earlier in the day
Mhm.
while you're in the pantry at 10 o'clock at night, starving, like, oh, I just
Yeah.
can't get full. I can't full because you didn't front load your day, or you didn't eat enough protein or fiber in the beginning of the day. So yeah, like different stages of life, you need a different strategy. It's not, oh, let me work harder, let me restrict more, let's gain some
Yeah.
awareness
Yeah.
and then go from there. Cause yeah. It's not like, oh, and I like the idea of like, what can I add and say, okay, let me cut out everything. I mean, I see so many women, friends you run into like, oh, I'm cutting out this for 3 months. Okay, so then what happens after those three
When you
months?
start adding it back in, yeah.
It's just like in this swing,
Yeah,
like from one end to the next. It's so
yeah,
drastic instead of,
yeah.
okay, let's start where you are. Let's just, get a baseline, of
Hmm.
your current patterns and work from there. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I think the program being a year just really allows you to do that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Where you make most of your changes in the first 6 months. But I think it really allows you to just take your time because I will tell you, I'm all about the all or nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for me, I had to really, really, really just stop. So as I was delivering one of the classes, I literally was like, okay, I got to do this too. Because I'm
Mhm.
one of those like, okay, I'm just gonna just give up this. I'm not gonna eat as much. Da, 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 da. Just let's
Yeah.
just look at what we can do. So even with the breakfast, I'm like, okay, so now we can just work with different breakfasts and see what the pattern is. What
Mhm.
breakfast makes me more satiated? Like, and
Mhm.
then, and then I'm not quite so crazy when it comes to lunchtime. Like,
Right.
and how many calories do I need to make this balance? And how am I feeling? And, just all of those things. And I'm trying to just
Yeah.
add in things, every
Mhm.
week, there's an action plan. So every week I'm like, okay, let me just add in something. And then eventually I won't even want those chips because I'm
Mhm.
like so
Mhm.
satisfied with whatever I just ate. So then it's not
Mhm.
even like I'm trying to restrict them. I just don't want them.
Right. Yes, because I looked the other day, how and sometimes I think we're so focused on like the things that we're still not doing well.
Hmm.
And so it's like you get hyper focused on those things. But just the other day I was looking on the counter and there are these individual bags of chips, like different. I mean, we've had them for months and months and months. And the old me would have like went through like the whole container, but just to recognize that growth, to be like, at one point in my journey, it felt like I had to like I needed all the willpower and all the might not to eat those chips. And that's just like I see them and now I don't see them. There's
Hmm.
not like even this desire for it. It's like I can take it or I can leave it. And to get to that place really shows, like, oh, wow, I have, made some lifestyle
Yeah.
changes, some sustainable changes to where, it's not work anymore as hard as it used to be. Or it felt like, oh, work, oh, what's wrong with me? I think we've all been in that space where it's just like, is something wrong with me? I can't do this. And it appears that everybody around you has it all figured out. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, what's wrong with me? And it could not be you.
Yeah.
It's your strategy. It's not you. You have to, yeah,
And that
step back and take
willpower,
your stuff. Yeah.
that willpower just does not work. It's not
It does
sustainable.
not.
Not
It does
sustainable. And then
not.
I think when you think about the willpower part too, you're like, I can't, like, I'm never going to be able to go to like the
Mhm.
fair and eat an ice
Mhm.
cream cone or a corn dog or, it's just stuff that you
Right.
enjoy and stuff, maybe stuff that you associate with that, I'm speaking, from personal experience. But, and, but it's like you want to be able to do those things and you can.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you can't ever eat that stuff
Yeah.
again. It's just now
Mhm.
you know what your body needs and when you know what makes your body feel good. And now when you go to the fair, but you do that planning, right? You just
Yeah.
know that's what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You're not
Yeah.
eating it again because you only went to the fair once.
Right,
So like
once. Right, right. And then half of the time, like the thing that you're like, oh, I used to love that. I just got to get it, get it, get it. You get it. You're just like, oh, it's kind of like a letdown because you're like,
like, oh, that was
I ate
so not
this.
satisfying.
Yeah, you're right. This isn't as good as it used to be,
Mhm.
and so then you're disappointed. And so,
It's like, well, I don't
right.
need that anymore.
Right, yes. But you're right. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it does not mean you can't have those things because you can. That's no way to live life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. I feel like we've been all around on, like this, and a little bit of this, and red. You know, now that is typical of you getting together with your girlfriends,
Yeah.
right? You start
Yeah.
on one thing and talk about this, but then you know,
It all
it
comes
all comes
together.
together.
Hmm. Yeah. But I think this was appropriate considering that we're in like the cookout season.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
for people who are probably struggling to get through this part,
Hmm. Hmm.
or just, their schedules aren't as consistent, so it's harder to make plans or to cook and, meal
Hmm.
plan and prep and all of that stuff. I think this was a good conversation just to kind of remind people that it's not about like making drastic changes.
Yeah.
It's about just, small changes over time and then adding in those good things so that
Yes.
eventually you can push out the bad. But,
Hmm.
and also making a plan. We oftentimes we talk about plan, make a plan, plan, plan. When you're going to that cookout, make a plan. You bring the healthy stuff. And
Yes.
so same with the reds. That's why we brought you some red stuff today that is a
Yeah.
little bit healthier. So,
Yes.
hmm,
And I think it also serves as a reminder that you don't have to wait until fall.
yeah.
It's just like, don't just throw everything to, oh, it's the summer. I'm just going to enjoy
Mhm.
myself and then I'll get back on track in the fall. It's like
Yeah.
for it to become like a lifestyle, you want it to fit every season of your
Yeah.
life. Are you 100% every season? No. Are you, some seasons you may be 80-20, some you might be 50-50, some, but it's like I'm consistently
Mhm.
um aware of the
Mhm.
choices that I'm making, and I'm consistently trying to make the better choice, not the perfect choice, the better choice with what I'm given,
Mhm.
and not just throw it all up in the air and say, oh, well, just keep
Yeah.
going. Like you said,
Yeah.
small changes, keep
Yeah.
going.
Yep. Yep.
We're in it with you. Like it doesn't stop for me. I'm telling myself this every cookout, like I am like, listen, I am preaching to myself. I am talking to myself just probably more so than I'm talking to you.
Right. Look, that county fair thing is
Yeah.
definitely personal.
Yes, yes. We don't sit from the position of have arrived. We're in
Yeah.
this with you.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
and it's every day. It's just a daily
Hmm.
thing. But once you built that muscle, that those strategies and you have them in your back pocket, can always come back to them. So,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
So we
Hmm.
got your back in the meantime.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll stop talking to y'all now because, we could go on forever. We have to make sure that we have a hard stop. Or else
Right.
we'll be on here 2 hours later, like, oh, we're still recording?
Right. It's like here's part two, June second.
Right. But as always, it's a pleasure, working and talking and chatting and snacking
Mhm.
with you, Tiffany. And I hope,
Absolutely. Same.
and I hope everybody listening has gotten, just one little nugget of information that'll help them on their journey to
Mhm.
health. And, until the next time,
Yes.
you guys enjoy your Juneteenth holiday and in a healthy way. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.